Kamito Kazehaya was an orphan boy who was abducted by a demon cult and raised to become the demon Lord Solomon's successor. He was trained to become an emotionless assassin until the cult introduced him to Restia, a contracted spirit. Over the years, they both grew close to each other, and she taught him how to regain his emotions. But she suddenly disappeared after Kamito won the blade dance under the alias of Ren Ashbell. He's been looking for her for the past years, until he finally gets some clues from Greyworth, who invites him to meet her in her academy. Kamito sets on his path to meet Greyworth, and finds a girl purifying herself for a spirit contract. The two have a clear misunderstanding due to the situation, and he's forced to save her from a falling tree. She asks him what he's doing in a girls' academy, and he reveals that he was invited by the school principal, Greyworth. He quickly questions what she's doing in that location, and she tells him that she's purifying herself to make a contract with the legendary holy sword named Demon Slayer. She expresses her desire to become strong, and knows that her current contract spirit isn't enough to achieve her goal. Kamito decides to follow her to the place where she will try to form a contract with the demon sword, and she starts the spirit contract ritual. The sword starts reacting to the ritual, but soon starts attacking her back, even slashing her cat fire spirit named Scarlet. Kamito quickly jumps into action, wanting to protect the girl, and starts chanting the spirit contract to tame the sword. Surprisingly, the sword reacts positively to his ritual and accepts the contract. Claire is amazed and shocked at the same time. She doesn't understand how he was able to tame the sword, especially because only females can make a contract with spirits. But she quickly restrains him with her whip and drags him to the academy, telling him he will become her spirit slave. Upon reaching the academy, he quickly frees himself and goes inside to meet the principal. He asks if what she meant in the letter is true, and Greyworth confirms it. Restia is alive and she knows where. But before she tells him, he must transfer into the school and represent it in the next Blade Dance tournament, revealing that Ren Ashbell, the strongest elementalist and blade dancer, will return to fight in the same tournament. Left with no choice, Kamito accepts her demands and enrolls in the school. He's quickly escorted to a stable where he will be living by Alias, a student who's heavily opposed to him joining a female school. He's resting in his stable room after a crazy day, and gets visited by Rinslet, another student from his Raven class, who brings him his first meal of the day. Claire quickly also arrives with the same intentions, but starts to fight Rinslet upon seeing her with Kamito. As they start their fight, Rinslet summons her contracted spirit Fenrir, and Claire summons her Scarlet. Both of the spirits start their fight, and Scarlet steps into Kamito's stable room, making it catch fire. They quickly realize the situation, and Rinslet tries to show her skills with Freezing Arrow to successfully put out the fire, but also destroys Kamito's room in the process. The girls begin their catfight again, until Alias arrives with her knights. Each side starts insulting each other, while mentioning their childhood traumas, and they decide to end everything with a 3-on-3 fight. They then head out to the portal and teleport to Astral Zero, a low-level spirit world that decreases their injury levels, making it suitable for fights and duels. Soon after, the fight officially starts with Alias summoning her wind spirit Simorg. Kamito summons his contracted spirit as well, but it turns out to be a rusty dagger. Alias attacks, but Kamito dodges. Her members start to also attack, but Rinslet takes one out with her bow skills. The other member rushes to attack, but Claire restrains her with her fire whip. Allowing Kamito to fight Alias, he runs toward her and throws his dagger, but she deflects and breaks it. Kamito uses his flirting skills, making Alias charge at him with her spear. Rinslet and Claire try to defend him, but their skills nullify each other, giving Alias the opportunity to charge again. But Kamito tells her to stop telling that something feels wrong. They all look up to the sky and see a demon spirit appear. Inside the demon spirit's mouth is Restia, Kamito's former spirit, telling him that she missed him, and that she will make him remember his real identity. Claire's obsession with power makes her step forward to deal with the spirit, hoping that she can make a contract with it. She refuses to listen to Kamito's pleas to stop and uses her scorching fireball to defeat it. But the spirit doesn't die and retaliate, forcing Scarlet to jump into its mouth and sacrifice itself to protect her. The spirit continues moving into Claire, who breaks down after losing her spirit. Forcing Kamito to jump in and save her, he manages to summon the Demon Slayer spirit in its true original sword form and cuts the demon spirit with one slash. Kamito then tries to console Claire, who's crying and asking why he didn't help before Scarlet sacrificed itself, but he suddenly collapses. He wakes up later in Rinslet's room and finds a girl on the bed beside him. She reveals her name to be Yesti and that she's the Demon Slayer's spirit in human form. After totally recovering, Kamito and EST walk around the school, and he questions why did she accept the contract. She simply replies that they're alike. They then try to find Claire, and Ellis tells them she must have gone to the contracting ceremony, a place in the academic city that allows students to duel, and the winner gets the right to contract a powerful spirit. Kamito gets up and immediately runs away with EST to save Claire, while calling her a fool for wanting to join the dance without having her spirit with her. She goes for the spirit dance without any spirit. She loses, and instead of giving up, she calls on the power she had earlier. Little does she know that it is Frenzy, a spirit that ensures her slave fights without giving up. Scarlet becomes a Hellcat, destroying all the places. Kamito arrives with EST, who explains what is happening. He begs for S powers and goes to fight the possessed Scarlet. Claire uses her fire magic to hit the spirit crest in her left hand and damages Scarlet. Kamito then rushes forward and slashes the jewel on Scarlet's forehead, returning her back to normal. Suddenly Restia, his first contractual spirit, appears and releases a frenzy on a spirit, while telling him that she's doing what he always wanted. After recovering from the shock of seeing Restia again and blaming himself for her actions, Kamito heads off to fight the demon that Restia released. He cuts its leg and jumps on top of it, sliding to pierce its eye with his sword. Claire then restrains the spirit and Kamito slashes it in half, but he soon collapses from exhaustion. The school starts preparing for the Blade Dance tournament that will occur in 2 months. Therefore, they will make teams battle each other and select the 3 highest ranked teams to represent the academy. Kamito and Claire form a team and are matched against a team of 5 members in their first match, which makes them realize they need more members after suffering a crushing defeat. Wristlet meets them while they're getting some food and Claire asks her to join the team, but Ellis interrupts them and invites Kamito to join her team. He refuses her as he informs her that he became Claire's contracted slave. Ellis then informs that the principal wants to meet him. He heads to the principal's office and she introduces him to Fiona, the lost princess of Ordesia, asking him to become her bodyguard. Greyworth orders him to escort Fiona to the forest and deal with a military spirit that is destroying a nearby village. While heading back to his room, Fiona gets closer to him and reveals that she knows that he's Ren Ashbell, the strongest blade dancer. She further threatens him to reveal his identity if he doesn't comply with her orders. Later at night, EST enters the room and tells him there's someone creating havoc in the academy. Kamito and the girls rush to Ellis' location, who's been barely keeping up in the fight with the new guy. Ellis informs them that this guy stole a sealed document from the library and can control 2 spirits. Kamito and Claire chase the guy and Claire uses her whip to catch him. The wipe makes the 3s fall, creating a smoke screen. Kamito still chases forward and gets suddenly attacked by the thief. Kamito dodges and destroys the thief's dagger, but he summons another sword, revealing that he can also control 70 spirits, just like the previous Demon Lord. The guy introduces him as Gio, claiming to be the true successor of the Demon Lord, while pointing his sword at Kamito's neck. Fiona suddenly appears and tries to attack him with some magic stones, but he cuts them in half. He attacks her back, but Kamito's speed manages to parry most of the attack while still getting injured in the process. Ellis appears with some backup, but Gio manages to flee away. He meets Fiona in the woods after recovering and asks her how she knows about his identity. She gives him some points, and he figures he has once met her in the forest about 3 years ago. As they talk, Ellis arrives with her knights and tells Kamito that Gio took the document to a mining forest in Gad. Kamito then asks Claire, Fiona, and Wristlet for their help, and they go to the forest to aid Ellis. They arrive in a ghost town and head to an underground shrine where they meet Ellis fighting Gio. He tells Ellis to retreat and faces Gio with his group. He asks Fiona to take care of Ellis while he and Claire fight, with Wristlet to back them up. He brings out his sword and attacks Gio. He asks why Gio keeps making trouble, and Gio says it's because he wants to fight and defeat him to become the original Demon Lord's successor. The fight starts, and Kamito cuts most of Gio's sword with his sword. Gio attempts to attack, but Wristlet uses her ice bow to help. Gio then calls another spirit from the ground to protect him, and he sends the spirit to pin Wristlet down. Kamito tries to cut Gio in half, but his sword gets weak and transforms into a dagger. Gio tells him he is no longer the strongest blade dancer and offers to tell him why he is now weak. Gio reveals that Kamito became weak and distracted because he wants to protect his friends instead of fighting for power. He then calls out a new spirit, Thanatos, given to him by Restia, and attempts to attack Kamito. However, Fiona brings out the Bloodstone, the last inheritance of the throne that she processes and uses to defeat Gio. She tells them she was disowned after losing her contracted spirit in a fight, also revealing that she came to the academy to find a way to reawaken her spirit. The floor starts shaking and they notice Jormungand is about to wake up. EST tells them she knows the location of Jormungand's shrine, and she takes them there. Kamito confronts Geo again, and EST returns to being a sword. As the fight starts and Kamito asks him who he really is, he says he is the first successful experiment to bring the Demon Lord back, and he has the powers to control all spirits. He uses a bloodstone to rush EST and Kamito gets worried if she's alright. Geo then takes advantage of Kamito's worrying moment and stabs him, while claiming he will take EST away. He tells Kamito that the bloodstone gives him the power to control the spirits. Suddenly, Claire opens the door to the Jormungand's shrine and Fiona starts to perform a spirit dance to the shrine and takes away his spirit. Restia arrives and calls Geo a weakling. He insists that he can defeat Kamito if he gets powers, so Restia turns into a sword and helps him to fight. He defeats Kamito with Restia's power, forcing Fiona to wake her spirit up. She gains control of her demon spirit and the group defeat Geo. Alias invites Kamito to join her team of knights, the Sylphid. He refuses at first, but when she complains about the loss of life in her last battle, he decides to join. The following day, during his induction into the team, Valseria, Alias's sister, arrives, and she uses her power to blow up the building to test Kamito's power. She then invites the strong knights who didn't pass out to join her team. She also asks Kamito to join her, but he refuses and resumes his tasks. While patrolling, Kamito and Alias notice an explosion and go to check it out. Upon reaching there, they see a spirit who went on a rampage. Kamito tries to save a little girl from the monster, getting injured in the process. Claire appears and reveals there's another cursed spirit around, telling them that 2 students bought cursed spirits. As they prepare to fight the spirit, Valseria comes and blows the spirits away, destroying the city. Kamito wakes up in his room after passing out, and Fiona appears telling them their next match will be against Valseria's team. He tells them that he will find a way to bring Valseria down, but they order him to rest and recover instead. Later, Alias goes to Kamito's room to inform him that she joined the team, revealing that Claire convinced her to fight again and get revenge for her previous teammates. The girls head into their match against Valseria's team. Rinslet uses her freezing arrows on Valseria to restrain her movements, and Claire uses her fire attacks to damage Valseria's armor body. The girls seem to have the advantage over the fight, but Valseria suddenly releases her bullets at them, forcing them to recover and keep using their magic spells. After several spells, the girls manage to pin Valseria down. But she gets up. She spent the last 3 years yearning to become stronger. Suddenly, she starts to lose control of her spirit and starts attacking everyone, even her teammates. EST tells Kamito that Valseria used a cursed seal, and he decides to join the battle after seeing his teammates get restrained. While fighting, everyone starts to see Kamito's movements resemble to Ren Ashbell, who defeated Valseria 3 years ago in the Blade Dance Tournament finals. But Kamito's previous wound is too deep, and he starts losing blood, making him weaker. Unwilling to see her loved one lose, Fiona releases her healing powers and passes out. Everyone else gathers around Kamito, and they start their attack as a coordinated team. Rinslet uses her freezing arrow to restrain Valseria's left arm. Claire uses her whip to restrain the right arm, and Alias uses her wind magic to propel Kamito, who pierces Valseria's heart and destroys the cursed seal. In front of Valseria, Kamito says he will save her, and she then realizes that she was once again defeated by Ren Ashbell. This is all for this anime. Give the video a like, and I will see you in the next minutes.